Hi, my name's James Pikeway, and welcome to my podcast. This is a rebroadcast podcast. I know, it's quite a mouthful. A rebroadcast podcast of an episode of my Nightline program, a call-in show on sleep from November 22nd, 2017. And I know, you're thinking, man, James, that is a long time. 2017, 2025, so much has gone on, so much has changed, the world is a different place, yet sleep still eludes us, and sleep still generates many, many, many of the same questions and conundrums that it did in 2017. You're going to love this podcast. Joining me in studio was Dr. James Kelly, who was a professor at UAU University in Allain, who is now currently, let me get this straight, hold on. He is currently the lead AI coach and literacy trainer at Neshi.ai in Bend, Oregon. Smart man. Joining us on the phone to answer our questions about sleep was Dr. Jeffrey Derman, who is now the Chief Medical Officer at Absolute Rest in Denver, Colorado. This man was brilliant in 2017. He's as brilliant today, and he answered our questions about sleep. You're going to love the podcast. Sit back, relax, enjoy, share it with friends. I can't wait to share it with you. Without further ado, here's the podcast.
It's going to be a fun night tonight. So we've talked napping before, but tonight we're going to talk about sleep. I've been thinking a lot about this, mostly because I'm around a lot of people who are chronically tired. I'm around people who are getting up at absurd hours and then working and then doing absurd night shifts and stuff. And, you know, it seems to me the only thing they're willing to compromise on in their life is sleep.
Which is one of the most important things.
I think it is the most important thing.
Yes.
It's like a commodity like everything else. I'm now starting to think about sleep as a commodity. And I'm thinking, okay, you negotiate your job, you've got your contract, and you sit down and you talk salary, you talk vacation, you talk professional development, you talk all sorts of cool stuff. Oh, am I going to get a new desk? Yeah, okay. So all of these things we factor into how we think about what we do, how we think about our life at work and beyond. But we never think about sleep. And in fact, that's the one thing we're willing to give up. Well, I'm going to cut it a little bit short, or I'm going to pull an all-nighter, or I'm going to stay up really late. But you still have to do all the same stuff. And lo and behold, you end up at the workplace, you're tired, and then you get ill, and then you get grumpy, and then the list goes...
Well, I always find for myself, it's almost the opposite. I get there, and I'm like a bullet out of a gun, right? Like I just go. But around 2 o'clock, if I didn't sleep well, forget about it. Like I'm useless from 2 to 5. Which is a big chunk of the day when you think about it. And what I find is that when I get my solid 7.5, 8 hours, I'm actually in a much better place in the afternoon.
I mean, that's what I need. I need a minimum 7.5 hours. I was working on 5 for a couple of years. And the day that I stopped doing that, I just said, I've got to get more sleep. And by the end of that week, people are going... my students said to me, sir, have you had a lot of coffee this afternoon? It's like, I haven't had any coffee. And they're going, you don't need any coffee either, sir. I'm going, I'm like so awake. And they're going,
I need it for my beauty sleep. I mean, personally, I can't speak for awakeness, but for beauty sleep, I need a lot of sleep.
This is what I'm wondering, though. Like, do we even think about sleep? This is what we want to throw out to you guys. Does anyone even factor in sleep into their life? Do you think about it? Is it something that you're not willing to compromise on?
Do we want to introduce who's going to be in the next segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So we have a gentleman who is an MD, a doctor, a full-blown neuroscientist, and his name is Jeffrey Derman. He is an MD PhD, which means double nerd, and he'll tell you that. And he is actually out of the States. He's the co-founder and chief medical officer of a company called Fusion Health and Fusion Sleep. He's trained at Penn, University of Penn. Really smart dude. And he's going to come on and talk to us about the pros and cons and the traps of sleep at the next segment. So have your questions ready. He'll be sticking around after we have a little chat with him for you to call in and for you to ask him your sleep questions. He loves talking about sleep. He's a sleep nerd. He loves sleep.
Well, I was reading through some of his work, and he's talking about, well, what happens if you don't get enough sleep? Just the basic stuff. Not being able to focus, constantly rubbing your eyes. So then your eyes are, and it's like, oh yeah, who doesn't do that? Yawning and rubbing your eyes, which isn't such a bad thing, except then you got eye problems, and then all sorts of stuff starts to happen. Daydreaming, wandering off on topic, and then people wonder why they can't get all their work done. Well, because you're tired and you're dreaming about not being in the office.
Which then goes back to our conversation 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Naps.
Yeah.
And I bet he'll say naps are actually okay.
Okay, we're going to find out about that. But I think just generally speaking, we need to be very strict on our sleep. And I just can't, I don't understand it.
The science is so clear about it, too.
That's the other thing.
Here's actually what drives me mad, by the way.
Hold on, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Not
it.
only is the science clear on it, we've got everyone making it easy for us to figure out how much sleep we're not getting.
Yeah.
If you got your phone, you got a fitness tracker, if you got your Apple Watch, it tells you when you're not moving, figures it out. The Android products, you get a nice graph at the end of the day. Hey, you only got this much sleep. This is where you fit on your week. Boom. You can see it. It tells you.
Yeah, but...
And what do? You look at it. Oh, yeah, I did okay. Boom. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm going to slightly disagree. So I have a nice fancy Apple Watch, right?
Does it sleep track?
So it does sleep track, but here's the thing. So there's been times where it's tracked my sleep.
Yeah.
And I know that I was up like every 30 to 40 minutes, and it says I slept all through the night.
Yeah.
So I stopped wearing it because I just realized, at least for me, it is not right. So, that's how I see it.
Chris has come through already, and he said, look, if I don't get 7 hours of sleep, it throws my whole week out of whack. No such thing as recovering from lost sleep. And that's true. I don't understand these people. And
I love how angry you're getting.
I'm angry. My wife said, well, you're turning into James. And I said, what?
Which
she said you.
Oh, okay.
Because usually you get on the rant.
Yeah.
But I sit with people all the time, and they're telling me, oh, yeah. And it's like, how much sleep you get? No, I didn't really sleep well last night. So I'm thinking, if you're a responsible boss, and you got people coming into...
Kids. The kid curveball. Kid curveball.
Yeah.
What do you do then? You have 2 kids out of the house now. When did you start actually getting sleep?
16 years old.
I was going to say probably about 3 months ago when he left.
Yeah, that
right?
too. Oh, yeah, because then as soon as they're out, I'm up all night waiting.
Yeah.
Even though, oh, no, it's okay, I'll go to bed. I'm just lying there until I hear them come in.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
And so if you're a parent like me whose kids are now all under 9.
Yeah, forget it.
I will say for us, we trained our kids, and this sounds probably bad, but we trained our kids pretty early on about sleep.
Yeah.
So they don't end up in our room that often, and they don't cuddle on our beds. We kind of didn't really let them do that so that we could get sleep.
Right.
So, Mary almost always gets between 7 and 8 hours of sleep.
Okay, that's good.
Which is great, right? I just have a sleeping problem. Like, I wake up a lot.
Okay. Well, and then I know a lot of people who've got insomnia because they've got bad sleep. And then I know a bunch of people who have somehow programmed it into their mind, my wife probably being one of these people. They cannot go to bed before 11 p.m.
Huh.
It doesn't matter what day of the week. It doesn't matter. Until it's 11 p.m., they're not going to bed.
Do you do anything to get ready for bed, like from a sleep perspective? Do you have like a routine?
I usually fall asleep on the couch first.
Step 1, couch sleep. All right.
Yeah. No, you know what? I don't. I'm one of these people when I end up going to bed, like I'll get home from the radio show, and I'll sit down and have a little bit of warm water and a little lemon. So maybe I do that, and maybe a little bit of honey, and then I go to bed. And I'm telling you, I'm lying there for maybe 20 minutes. I'll read a little bit of a hard copy book, 1-2 pages max. Kaboom! I'm done. It's like I'm out.
So I started doing this thing about a month and a half ago, and I'm actually loving how many texts we're already getting.
Well, this is Ian the Skoda guy. He's come through. My motto: sleep is good. Stick to that, and all's well. You see, sleep is fantastic. Alan, if I don't get 8 hours, I'm not the same person. Sleep is king. So I want to go back to this thing. Don't you think if you've got people coming into your office tired, that the responsible boss should be sending them home and say, go get some sleep? It's like,
what utopia world do you live in,
It's
James?
the same as when you've got someone who's got the flu in the office. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Because the person who's tired is only wasting my time and their time by doing stupid mistakes.
I just go back to parents.
Get out of here.
Parents. You're basically kicking out half an office every day.
There you go.
So let me tell you what I do. So I think, because I started doing this about a month and a half ago.
But I think a lot of parents do get a lot of sleep. I mean, if the parents are what time do your kids go to bed?
About 8.
So 9 o'clock, go to bed. You're okay. You're going to wake up the same time they do. Boom, not a problem.
Does that mean just don't talk to your wife? Don't talk to your spouse anymore? Like that's it? We just in the
You're
fast
going to
forward
tell me
20
you
years.
spend the next 3 hours, the kids go to bed, and then you have a long debate and discussion? Come on.
No, but
you watch
we
TV.
chat. We do watch TV. I have been playing video games lately, which makes me sound like a bit of a nerd. But
What video games are you playing?
I actually am stuck into FIFA right now. I have a league
Really?
going on. Yeah, I'm just pretty stuck into it. So wait, I got to tell you what I do to fall asleep. Cause
What's your
So I got
sleep
this from
routine?
Tim Ferriss, right?
I love that guy.
All right.
4-hour work week. Tim Ferriss is mad at me, by the way.
Yeah. Why's that?
I made him miss a plane when I interviewed him on this show.
Did you really?
Yeah, he's still
good
mad
for
at
you.
me. Yeah, he wanted me to pay for his new ticket.
Really?
Yeah, I said not going to happen.
Rich guy.
That's what I said.
So he does this thing, and I actually started doing it. And usually you some hot water,
Yeah.
and you put some apple cider vinegar in.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2-3
I
tablespoons.
usually do an ounce of that straight anyway, so
Yeah.
okay, keep going.
And then I put in turmeric. I put in some ginger.
Now, is that the American pronunciation? Because I call it turmeric. But
Turmeric.
anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Smart. And then I put in some raw honey.
Okay.
And I mix it up, and literally within 20 minutes, I'm out
Boom.
cold.
Okay.
And the first 4 hours, dead to the world.
Yeah.
After that, it kind of wears out of my system, but the first 4 hours, I am out cold. And for me, that was my hardest thing, was falling asleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you about your how you manage sleep, and are you, as Ian the Skoda guy, as Alan has come through, as Chris has come through, sleep is vital, and you do not let anything get in the way. Are you one of those people, or sleep just a commodity like anything else, a little bit up, a little bit down? Yeah. You're willing to compromise. If you got to do 3 hours sleep, oh well.
Yeah.
I got to enjoy that movie. I got to watch that football game.
Yeah. I'll make those sacrifices sometimes.
Really? I won't. There's no
No?
way. No. No.
If there's a Notre Dame football game on, I'll be up at like 4 to watch it.
You see? Not
Yeah.
a chance that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like,
I have respect for that, though.
Yeah.
You value sleep.
sleep is very
Yeah.
important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look good. You always look rested.
There you go.
So
See?
no
But,
kids in the house.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Colin Show. We're talking sleep. Should sleep be thought of as a commodity like every other commodity out there? Something that you need to respect, something that you need to add value to. I think we absolutely undervalue sleeping.
All right.
Yeah. So we want to hear from you, and we're gonna get Dr. Jeffrey Dermer on the line and see how he can help sort this out, because I think he's with me.
Oh, no, I'm with you, too. I just have 4 kids under 9.
Wow, that's just you're making excuses. Don't
I
give me
gotta work
excuses.
When do you want me to do that?
What do you do? You're a professor. You only how many courses you teaching?
Easy.
3?
Easy. All right.
It's 9 hours of teaching a week. Okay. They got a gym at UAU?
I'm leaving. I'm leaving the show now. You are disrespecting my profession, and I don't appreciate it.
It's the call-in show. We want to hear from you. We're talking about sleep, and I am still put this flag right up the pole that people are totally devaluing their sleep, and they're just not doing the right things.
I'm a parent. Leave me alone.
I've
Stop
already told you.
attacking me.
Go to sleep when your kid's
Stop
going to sleep.
attacking me.
I bet your wife's already sleeping.
Oh, she's totally asleep.
You
There's
see?
no doubt.
So she's the smart one in your house. And hold on, you're going to nudge her when you get home and wake her up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? We have Dr. Jeffrey Dermer here. He's the co-founder and chief medical officer of Fusion Health and Fusion Sleep, and he is a super rad dude in Atlanta.
There we go. And if there's someone who knows just a little bit about sleep and is on my side, it's you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Well, I'll tell you guys, the thing about sleep is that we as a human species have really done incredible things since the invention of the electric light bulb to ourselves. And, we can't thank just one person for that, but this is actually a culture that has evolved around the clock. And that is sort of a discussion that only in like the last 100 years we really needed to talk about because of this ability. So it's sort of like when you get that technology, it comes with a double-edged sword. And that's kind of led to a change in the way we actually perceive ourselves and the way we perceive the day and night. And there's a lot of anthropologic data out there about what we used to sleep, how we used to sleep, versus how we sleep now. And I think it's one of the things that maybe we could talk a little bit about, so I could, I guess, get people aware that maybe this is not the way we were meant to sleep. And what's happening to us evolutionarily here, and it is sort of an evolution of our biology, is that we're really we're putting ourselves in a bad position for our own health, and also just in terms of how we value and also have a quality of life.
Jeffrey, can I
so
hold
that's the
just
sort of thing.
can I put just for 1 second? We've got joining us.
Sure.
We've got a caller actually. She'd like to jump in on this conversation. Her name is Julie,
Beautiful.
and she's a child sleep consultant. And sleep
Wonderful.
deprivation, as she sees it, is an epidemic here in Dubai, and so she wants to jump in on the conversation as well. Julie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome to the program. We have Dr. Jeffrey Dermer on the line. We've got James Kelly here. We got myself. We got a party line going here, talking about sleep.
Hey, Julie. Hey, I'm glad we're talking about it.
So, Julie, jump in on this. You're a child sleep consultant.
Yes, and I practice here in Dubai. And my background is really of working with families, for the last 30 years. But in the last 7 years, I've really been focusing on sleep. And I am really, really surprised every single day at the level of sleep deprivation with families.
So what's the solution?
Absolutely.
What's the solution? How do we fix it from your perspective?
I think very much education is crucial with our children and with the families. I think there's a lot of contradicting information for our families. I was with a family just 2 days ago, and from a health professional, they had been informed that an 8-month-old child does not really require naps during the day. And we know in terms of the developing brain, we know that information is completely incorrect because naps are biological. So, and of course, lifestyle is also contradictory to having a good night's sleep. The amount of screen time our children are being exposed to now is also having a massive effect. But we do know that statistically, 30% of all children are sleep deprived.
Yeah. Julie, I'm gonna. I mean, fantastic to get your take on this. I can hear Dr. Jeffrey's head nodding from with what you're saying.
Yeah, this is Julie's hitting on, I think, actually what is the biggest and most pressing problem here, and it's one that's really borne out by the data, as she mentioned. Just in the United States alone, the CDC has been actually measuring sleep deprivation just by hours of sleep, not even looking at quality or timing of sleep, which are the other two major factors in determining sleep adequacy in children. And one of the striking outcomes from this research now over the last 10 years, and this is survey-based research across the United States, is that in the high school ages in particular, and Julie was mentioning all children, but just in the high school ages, that 9th through 12th grade period where you're developing social skills, you're developing higher learning, you're developing a lot of biological features of an adult, only 30% of our kids are getting the adequate number of hours of sleep. Only 30%. That means that fully 70% of kids are sleep deprived in the years where they are maximally developing some of the most important skills that they're going to be utilizing through their life. In terms of learning, memory, social function, as well as physical attributes that are going to become, whether I'm obese or not obese, exercising, not exercising, a lot of the behaviors that you instill in that set of children really are with them for a very long time.
So all of that can be traced back to sleep?
Unknown.
All of those issues?
Sure, absolutely. There's great data now, and this is something that we don't even really argue about in the national sort of conferences, international conferences. We're all trying to get this word out from the scientific community. That sleep itself is a fundamental bedrock for development, and in kids in particular, the actual cycles of REM and non-REM sleep that you need in a regular night and a consolidated night of sleep, and in kids in particular, napping is another part of their sleep schedule, which is something that you develop from infant all the way up into late childhood. That polyphasic going into consolidated single uniphasic sleep is what actually creates the neurodevelopmental patterns for things like visual acuity, for just visual cortex, for actually creating the connections in the brain that we know are necessary for developing frontal cortex, which is your thought process around executive function that you need to develop as a higher primate. These are exquisitely sensitive and to sleep deprivation, and when kids don't get these stages of sleep, in other animals as well, not just humans, they don't develop them. And we end up with outcomes that are with neurodevelopmental delays like attention deficit hyperactivity symptoms. We end up with other symptoms that are associated with the inability to learn and dysfunctions around learning, which then become social dysfunctions, not just biologic, but they learn that.
Jeffrey, can I jump in and ask you? This is the other James, the handsome one. Can I ask you a quick question? So clearly,
you look so much better over the phone too. Yeah.
Over the airwaves, I'm quite handsome. Very,
quite handsome.
Yeah, very Tom Cruise.
They say you have a great face for radio.
That is so true.
Okay, gentlemen. So, Julie, I'm going to let you go. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
So Jeffrey, I have a question for you. So when we talk about this idea, clearly sleep is this for everybody, but we'll stick with the kids for at least this moment. Why do you think there's these competing forces going on where you're fighting for more sleep and academics or high schools or whatever are fighting for more time in school? Like why isn't one leading the other?
Yeah, and I think that's really the key. And I think Julie's point about family sleep in particular, which is really how you look at it, is really culturally important to discuss, because what we're doing is we're teaching this behavior, this sleep behavior, to our kids in a way that they're imprinting, they're patterning their behavior after us. That's what we do as adults. What we have done to ourselves as adults, and looking back a generation before us, is we have pushed the limits and boundaries of work in such a way that we now have these 24/7 schedules. Mm-hmm. And if you look back two generations ago, very few people were running 24/7 operations. Very few places, including even healthcare facilities, would have maybe one doctor on call and then nursing that would do a limited nursing schedule during the night. That has beefed up to full-time activity. I mean, I use the example for folks when I give talks to large groups of folks that, you look at a company like back in the 60s when I was a little tiny kid, there was 7-Eleven. And it came out, and 7-Eleven was this awesome new concept. It was open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. There is no such thing as a 7-Eleven that's open from 7 to 11. They're 24-hour operations. But that's the difference. The culture, just a couple of generations ago, valued the sleep epoch as something that was important for your health, important for it was like mom said, go to sleep. You're going to stunt your growth. These statements that were that would scare you, but was it really based in science? Well, actually, it is based in science. If you're not sleeping well, for instance, kids with sleep apnea that don't get treated end up not growing. They don't grow on their natural growth chart. We see this all the time until that is treated. They pop back up on their growth charts, and largely it's because things like growth hormone are created at night.
But Jeffrey, I guess
and
kind of
the deeper stage of sleep is where you need them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jeffrey, hold on the line. We're going to come back to this conversation. This is Nightline. It's the call-in show. We have Dr. Jeffrey Dermer joining us on the line from the U.S. He is the Chief Medical Officer at Fusion Health, an Atlanta-based sleep health technology company. We're talking about sleep. We've got the expert on the line. Yes. We've got Dr. James Kelly joining us here from UAU, who's got all the excuses about why he's not getting enough sleep. And we've got you. We want to hear from you about the value of your sleep. Are you getting enough? What are the excuses you're making not to get
any questions you have you want to ask Dr.
Absolutely. You can get involved. This is how. We are joined on the line by Dr. Jeffrey Dermer. He is in Atlanta. He's the Chief Medical Officer of Fusion Health, an Atlanta-based sleep health technology company. This man is the guru of sleep.
He specializes in neuroscience. Neuroscience. So he can tell you, don't get him started. But he can tell you every facet of your brain. Every facet.
And he's humble too.
With a smile.
So, Jeffrey, we've got a great question that's come in, and it's at what age should toddlers stop napping? How much sleep should a 2.5-year-old child get at night? And I think this is
that's a great question. Yeah. Well, there are averages out there that you can look at, and there are organizations like the National Sleep Foundation in the U.S. and the CDC that publish sort of these averages. What we know is that children have this what we call polyphasic sleep that typically they don't really have a circadian rhythm, which is that 24-hour sleep-wake rhythm, till they're about 6 months old. It really gets solid then. That's why kids sleep around the clock up until then normally. But when once you start, the napping usually is a couple of times a day in the first year to 2 years of life, and then in about 3 to 4 years old, they consolidate down to one nap. And then by the time kids get to around 5, 6 years of age, they typically either have very limited napping or they stop napping altogether. So one of the things that we look for is like when kids are in school for the first time, like kindergarten, that's the overlap. Some kids are still napping, other kids are not napping. So that 5-year-old, the kids. When you get to about first grade, most children don't have naps anymore. They may demonstrate sort of a down period, like the after lunchtime, but they typically don't need a nap. And there is an issue sometimes when we see children who are 6, 7 years old, maybe 8 years old, who don't nap, who haven't napped for a couple of years, and begin to start napping again. And that's something that's a sign for us clinicians that says, hey, maybe there's something going on with sleep quality in this child that we need to pay attention to. Even things like narcolepsy can appear like that in children, which is a very rare condition. But it's something that we look for because it's something that evolves in children. And oftentimes we don't even think about kids having sleep disorders, but that's actually something that we know because of the genetics behind sleep disorders typically does start in childhood. So we keep an eye on that.
So
it's a good question.
No, I think we could talk about child sleep for probably a whole other episode. But I have a really pertinent question. Can I ask this question?
Okay, but before that, let's do this one
James
last one.
interrupted
The sleep nerd, Thomas Bay, he's coming and he's saying, hey, this is an absolutely interesting topic. Fully agree about sleep deprivation among teenagers and children. But he's saying, he's wondering, are people spending enough time talking about their sleep quality based on what they're sleeping on? So the quality of their mattresses, the quality of their pillows, and a lot of people, this person's suggesting, Thomas Bay, saying if people are going the cheap route and not thinking about how that influences sleep as well.
Great point. And, I do break up just to, even for my fellows and residents, the folks who are learning about sleep from the medical and science side of things, we look at it from sleep quality, quantity, and timing. Those three factors really impact your sleep adequacy. And so sleep quality is not just about having a sleep disorder or not, but actually it is your environment. So that's a really good point. And one of the things that I'm asked all the time, every cocktail party I go to is, what's the best bed? Or how many times should I get a new bed in a year? Or should I get new beds every 10 years, 7 years? Is that a real statistic? I look at it this way. How often do you typically get a new vehicle in the United States? So people typically buy a new car every 5 years. That's about the average, maybe even a little sooner than that for some. That's actually how I look at your bed.
Yeah, but I rotate my tires, so can I get it to last longer just by flipping the mattress over?
You can rotate your bed too, but typically beds are nowadays made they're actually one-sided. So they're actually made for the human to sleep on one side. There's a lot of technology in bed. So most of the newer beds you can rotate. You can't flip them, but you can rotate them. And I do suggest that people rotate their beds every 6 to 9 months. But
there we go.
The outcome is really it's about to get a new bed about as often as you get a new car. If you look at it that way, it's something you use every single night, and just like your car, you use it every single day if you're commuter. It's the same concept.
So mattress technology, pillow technology, this is all important. But we want to narrow this down a little bit because I was having a little bit of a rant before we got you on the phone.
I have a really important question.
Okay, you go with the important question.
Because I think this sets up a conversation that we had. See, Jeffrey, about 3 weeks ago,
he's really bossy, this guy.
Yeah, I am today.
He's the guest.
He must have got his sleep. He got some good sleep. He's on it.
But this is a really important topic that I think that both James and I have had debates about, and I really want you to weigh in on this. Naps at the workplace.
Naps. Yeah, this is number 2 question besides the bed question again. So, no, actually,
dang it.
It's a really common question. No, it's a great question. Actually, I was just so my daughters are swimmers and national team swimmers and stuff here in the United States, and they're one of them's in college right now. And her coach called me because I help them with their sleep and their circadian timing for sleep, and he asked the same question: what about naps for my athletes? And it's a really good question because it really depends on the question that you're asking me. So there's two answers. One is naps are great, and the other is no, they're not so good. So
you're Canadian. He's on the fence. He's a Canadian here.
But it depends on which way I'm looking. So if you're asking me the question, like this coach did, he's got a bunch of young athletes that are healthy, swimmers. They basically get up early in the morning, they swim, they do doubles. So what the issue is with that group of folks isn't their sleep quality. They don't have sleep apnea. They don't have restless leg syndrome that we know of. They are all sleeping pretty well, but they don't have enough time to sleep. So they only get like 6 hours of sleep. And for a college athlete at that level, they need 8 to 9 hours minimum. So that's not enough sleep, and they're sleepy, and they're not performing well. So putting a nap into what I call a circadian nap into the day after lunch in that, say 1:30 to 4:30 period, but only for 30 to 90 minutes, that actually can help to restore function for them and add more sleep time because they don't have enough quantity of sleep. Their quality is good, just not quantity. And again, those three elements, quantity, quality, and timing. So in that population, napping is great. That's a real benefit. So student athletes, folks that have good quality sleep, maybe, you went out one night, you're at work, and your sleep is good usually, but you didn't get enough sleep. A nap for 30 minutes might be really effective for you in that kind of situation. Now, the other side is if you're getting 8 hours of sleep as a person, and that sleep you think a timeline is adequate, and you're still sleepy and needing to take a nap, more days than not during the work week or during the weekend, that could be an issue of sleep quality. So you might actually have a sleep problem that napping actually is sort of covering up. And that kind of a nap may help you get through a little bit, but it's really just, it's a crutch because the actual problem isn't your sleep time. Your actual problem is your sleep quality. So you do need some more investigation. You might have sleep apnea. You might have restless leg syndrome, periodic leg movements during sleep. You might have insomnia that you don't recognize. And so that's something that needs to be quantified by sleep testing. So that's the no side. That's the not good sleep, not good napping side.
Real quick one has come through from Christina, and she's got a son and a daughter. Her daughter is a horror story for sleeping and getting to go to sleep. Her son, not a problem at all.
Okay.
And so her question, she's wondering, are there recommended hours for sleep for children at the same age? Or is it just all up to individuals, really, when we talk about the amount of sleep that they need?
Yeah, so there's definitely a range, and that range is based on the best science we have, depending on their age and what we call Tanner scale, which is their level of puberty in that age group. But the key thing to note is that it is individual. So the range is a range. So in say childhood sleep, it's actually 9 to 10 hours is the range, and most of the athletes are 9 to 11 hours, depending on the group you look at. That 9 to 11 hour window for a child who's 7 years old is a range. Some kids are going to be in the 8 to 9 hours. Some are going to be in the 10 to 11 hour. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It's just an individual variation. The key thing, though, is to see if the one that's sleeping the 8 to 9 hours really has adequate sleep. In other words, are they having problems during the day? Are they having memory issues? Are they having sleepiness? Are they hyperactive, which are typically the symptoms that we see in kids? Or are they just doing great? And if they're doing great, then that's adequate sleep for that individual. That's also important to take a look at the 10-hour sleeper. Even though they're sleeping a lot, are they functioning well? Are they sleepy in the day? Are they having the same kind of issues? Because even though they may have more hours of sleep, it could be that their sleep efficiency is not very good. And that does happen with kids, particularly with things like movement problems, like restless leg syndrome, which typically happen in this age group. So it's something to pay attention, not just to the sleep time, but what does this kid look like during the day? How are they doing? Because what sleep does for you on a day-to-day basis is it restores your abilities to function. So all of those social engagements, emotional intelligence, all of that comes with your sleep.
Jeffrey, I want to keep you on the line.
Can you stay for one more break?
Can you stick around for another 10 minutes? Is that possible?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Not a problem at all.
Don't move.
Thanksgiving isn't until tomorrow.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Thank you.
This is the call-in show. If you're wondering what you've tuned into, it's Nightline on Dubai Eye. Dr. James Kelly joining us in studio as we talk about sleep. But we have joining us on the phone line Dr. Jeffrey Dermer, who is the sleep expert. And I mean, this not only is he a sleep expert, a neuroscientist as well. So he can sort you out. And he's graciously given up his time to walk us through sleep issues. We've got many texts coming through. I'm kind of piecing them together. We want to hear from you.
So, hey, listen, Jeffrey, we were going to pivot to Office.
People have no idea who Jeffrey is.
I'm sorry. Yes, Jeffrey.
Dr. Jeffrey Dermer.
Thank you.
Sleep guy.
Yeah,
can we just call you the sleep guy? Is that all right? I mean, that kind of dilutes everything.
You guys can use whatever moniker you think will be best.
So I just want to make a quick plug for those who are listening. Listen, Jeffrey is on my podcast coming out January 11th on my podcast, Executives After Hours. So if you want to learn more about Jeffrey and his own personal journey, check it out. Jeffrey, we were going to pivot to Office talk, but man, there's an overwhelming response about kid talk.
Man, we got like people. It's a lot of young kids too.
Big problem.
3.5-year-old Eugene's coming in through and he says, "Look, I've got this child who's always been hyperactive, loves playing so much."
And there's a culture issue here too.
Yeah,
culturally.
Oh man, I mean, I don't know if you've been out this way, but you can go to the mall at 11 at night because they're open till 11 every night.
Yeah.
And you've got young kids running around,
like 2-3-year-olds just going.
This is actually something that I think is really interesting. First of all, I think it's interesting to study this change over the cross. It's globalization of what is basically a very Western lifestyle, and the cultural change that's occurred in a lot of countries. And this has actually been studied in Africa, where there's now many efforts to make access to electricity for low and middle income countries, it's a big part of Americans, the America program. There's even something called Power Africa initiative where they're bringing electrical lighting into places where there never was electricity before. So all of a sudden, not only is there a Western diet that's creating, as we know, a lot of downstream effects, but now we're bringing in Western electrical gadgets and television and other forms of entertainment and communication that are keeping people up. So the sleep debt right now in developing countries is growing, and it's driving a rise in things like obesity and heart disease and diabetes and a number of non-communicable chronic diseases associated with sleep deprivation. So the Western diet has always been something we talked about. You know, the globalization of McDonald's and other companies that do foster a high fat, high carbohydrate based diet. But at the same time, what we're doing is we're spreading sleep debt. And we're spreading this 24-hour kind of a lifestyle through electricity that we are actually suffering from, and without knowledge in the United States. But now it's happening in developing countries where they really don't have the ability to handle these outcomes, which is a real problem. So this is actually, when we talk about kids in the environments around the globe that are living in these lit environments at night, they're going to be stimulated just like adults are going to be stimulated. It's a biological stimulant. So light itself activates your brain. It creates wakefulness. It shuts off sleep. So if you're using it at nighttime, there's no way you can sleep. It's a form of torture, actually, and that's something that has been sanctified as torture by international health organizations. So we're doing this to ourselves for a quote-unquote entertainment reason, but what we're doing is we're instilling sleep deprivation and sleep behaviors, non-sleep behaviors in our kids, which is really the long-term bad outcome here in my mind. That's what we're all kind of afraid of.
You also have a second issue, at least in this part of the world, where it's so hot that kids can't even go outside, especially in the summertime. Until 8 or 9, when it's still 100 plus degrees out, and that's one of the reasons why they're out so late all the time as well.
Well, one of the
I can totally understand that.
Ahmed's come through and he says, when he's quoting Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who in reading the Quran saying he encouraged the Prophet Muhammad encouraged going to sleep early and waking up early and taking a nap in the afternoon. And this sounds to me a lot like what you're talking about as well.
I absolutely, and what we call that in some countries is siesta, right? And that's something that essentially, if you look at the way people sleep right now, and there's a great article that I just reviewed from it's an evolutionary medicine public health article about looking at human sleep and sleep disorders from the evolutionary perspective. If you look back before electric lighting, there really was a common sleep pattern, which was the second sleep, where people would go to sleep with the sun. The sun would set. They'd maybe have a campfire for a short period of time, but then within an hour, they were all pretty much asleep. in a rather agrarian sort of society or a settled society. And they would wake about 5 or so hours later in the middle of the night and do something that was very contemplative, something that was either religious or they'd read from their scriptures. They would do something like sewing, something that was very mundane for like an hour or two. And then everybody would go back to sleep for another 4 hours, and they called that the second sleep, and wake up with the sun. And that construct has gone away largely in Western civilization where there's electrical lighting and people staying up late because they consolidated that sleep pattern into one. But then there are folks that have, quote-unquote, insomnia. And insomnia is blamed as a disorder, of course, because if you shorten the amount of sleep time, given the shorter sleep times we have, you're increasing the sleep deprivation. But insomnia may actually, especially maintenance insomnia, waking up in the middle of the night, might just be a hangover from us being in that sort of a sleep mode for so many generations, and that may evolutionarily be our actual sleep pattern. So that heightened arousal at night is not an abnormality. And so, we're fighting this with light. We're crushing our sleep onset times. And as the Prophet Muhammad, as you quoted there, said going to bed early actually is a natural, it's a natural behavior. It's something you're entrained to do because light is what activates and deactivates the sleep system.
Is that why? I was gonna say, is that why one of the major recommendations is leave your cell phone away from your bed? Like, don't read it at night. Like, get it away.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything that, put it this way, cell phones are the most recent, right? So cell phones and tablets and computers and all of those are a new form of light in a sense. But the other thing that goes along with it is entertainment and also novelty. So our brains seek novelty, always. We seek novelty in terms of like when we're sleeping at night, what will wake you up? A novel sound. Something that is novel, that happened, a scream, a car crash, something that's novel and that is alerting. Things that are background noises, like the hum of an air conditioner or the whirl of a ceiling fan. These are sounds in our environment, but they're continuous, and that helps us go to sleep. It covers the background novelty. So when you see things visually that are novel, of course you're going to be drawn to them, and they're going to create arousal. But the other unfortunate component at night is that light that's hitting your eyes actually has a biological effect on the part of your brain that wants to activate sleep. It is inhibited. It absolutely crushes your sleep drive. And at the same time, it drives the wakeful promoting parts of your brain that keep you awake. So I don't know if you've had that effect where you're like, you can't put down a book or you can't stop binge watching a show at night, and you go into 3 o'clock in the morning and you're very, very tired, but your eyes are just open and you're glued. It's what's happening to your brain. You're activating that arousal system continuously, because I tell you that if you turned off that television and closed your eyes on the couch, all of a sudden your sleep system would overwhelm your drive to stay awake, and you would go to sleep.
Jeffrey,
So we're driving ourselves to stay awake.
One last question. Is it true that we require less sleeping hours the older we get?
It's not about requiring less sleeping hours. It's actually that we require the same amount of sleep of adequacy. We actually need about 7 to 8 hours over the course of your life as you develop chronic diseases like pain. So I'm an old athlete, so I have osteoarthritis, and it's painful. In the middle of the night, I wake up. Your sleep is impacted by those issues as you get older. It's not that you need less sleep. It's just that your sleep time goes down because of other interruptions. So there's a lot of studies out there that would suggest we need less sleep, but it's really not about need. It's what happens over the course of life, the accumulation of things like pain that reduce our overall sleep time.
So here's the last question as a giveaway for everyone. What are some things that people can do to get to sleep better?
Oh, there's a lot of things you can do.
Okay, keep it down to 5. Keep it down to 5 overachiever.
Yeah, I'm gonna
think 60 seconds.
60 seconds, absolutely. Well, it's funny because I just published a little article on our website about this. It's called Recommendations for Good Sleep and Good Times Over the Holidays. It really kind of centers around the quality, quantity, and timing of sleep issues. So what you really want to focus on, first off, is your sleep environment. you want to sleep in a cooler environment that's between 60 and 70 degrees, and typically in the lower end of that. You also want to be in an environment that is very quiet. That novelty background noise that we talked about is really something that destroys sleep. So increasing a background sound that's consistent, like a fan, is great. Darker environments, much more conducive to getting into deeper stages of sleep. And then the other is about your actual sleep quantity and timing. When you sleep, when you go to sleep, we always talk about going to sleep at the same time. It's very important. Well, it turns out the more important issue is when you wake up. When you wake up is when your circadian rhythm starts on a day-to-day basis. It's that light hitting your eyes, driving your wakeful system, which also drives your sleep system. So no matter what, I suggest, even when people are unable to get to sleep and they're going to bed late, try to get up about the same time every day, because it'll drive your arousal system and it'll allow you to sleep better on a night-to-night basis. Those are typical recommendations I would use. And then get the light out of your night. That's the other part. It sort of rhymes, makes it easy to remember. Get the light out of your night as much as you can.
Jeffrey, I got to let you go, but absolute pleasure to have you on the show. A lot of great information. Look forward to possibly having a chat again sometime in the near future. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your afternoon to join us here on the program.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We were speaking with Dr. Jeffrey Dermer. He is the Chief Medical Officer of Fusion Health, an Atlanta-based sleep health technology company. You're going to want to go Google Fusion Health and read his articles on their blog, on their site.
He's awesome, right? Be kind, everybody. Have a good week.
There we go. Thank you very much for coming out.
Well, I hoped you enjoyed that podcast. Dr. Jeffrey Dermer, sleep specialist extraordinaire, answering our questions. Dr. James Kelly in studio. Plenty more to come, so follow the channel, share it with friends, and I look forward to talking to you again really, really soon. So long for now. James out.